Attorney General Ken Cuccinelli, Republican candidate for governor of Virginia. The recent polls show the last three a slight lead for Terry McAuliffe, but the real clear politics average has you exactly even. Where do you see the race right now?
Well, first of all, it's early for a Virginia race, but we see it as pretty even, pretty close race. Virginia state races traditionally break late, and we're making headway by talking to people about job creation and how we're going to do it, which primarily means they're going to do it. We're going to try to leave them with more of their own money, more of their own tax money, so they can invest it to grow the economy.
Okay. If elected governor, what are 2 or 3 key things that you want folks to know that will be a priority for you, something you're either going to try to get done or change or what have you?
Right. Well, the first thing is that we're going to focus first and foremost on job creation in the private sector. We're facing all sorts of challenges in Virginia, the drawdown by the military, the furloughs by the federal government in Northern Virginia, and an economy in the doldrums, which is like the rest of America, and we need to try to catalyze that to get it going faster, to grow more jobs and to grow them in the private sector. So that's going to be our first priority, our first focus. And the other is that we're going to be watching out for the little guy, for every Virginian, for the middle-class families, and I'm really running to support and to expand opportunities for the middle class, not for the well-connected. They've already got their lobbyists, and they're taken care of. So those are the 2 things, if someone took away 2 messages, that you can expect to see me focus on as governor.
There's a lot of national media interest in the race because it's the only thing going on and because it's right across the Potomac, so it's cheap and easy to cover for them. A lot of the stories, though, are on not necessarily economic stuff, but on social issues. And you're an unapologetic conservative. And does it surprise you that there's so much focus, and has been throughout your term as Attorney General?
In terms of reporters, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, they try to gin up and identify hot buttons and to play on them. They're trying to sell papers. They're not necessarily just trying to report what's going on. But if you talk to Virginians, and I've talked to them just here in Frederick County today, and their focus is no different than people all around the state, and that is first on the state of our economy and job opportunities. I mean, overwhelmingly across Virginia, and that's my focus overwhelmingly as well. And I, unlike my opponent, have a track record of 4 elections you can look back at and see what I talked about during the campaign and see it's what I pursued after I got elected. So people can count on a good, solid attempt by me as governor to raise their prospects for jobs and for more and better jobs here in Virginia.
Transportation. You opposed Governor McDonald's transportation plan, and I guess since then you said you're not going to try to repeal it, that what's done is done. What's your working relationship with the governor now?
We have a very good relationship. I have yet to meet a person I agree with 100% of the time, but I also haven't met a Virginian I don't agree with on something, and we build on those areas of unity, and there's a lot to do going forward in the area of transportation. And this is an area that there is a big difference between me and my opponent. As you noted, the transportation bill's gone through, that additional money is coming in. Whether I liked how they structured it or not, we're not going to go back and try to undo it. So now the question for Virginians is, who do you want spending that money? Union Terry or Frugal Ken? And this is where his support and his affinity for the unions, which is so out of step with Virginia, is a big deal. I mean, just look at the Metro line there in Northern Virginia, the Silver Line. The governor, because he opposed the union contracts, forced the airports authority to rebid that one huge project, and they saved $300 million. A Governor McAuliffe would never force them to rebid it without union commitments, because he's getting hundreds of thousands of dollars from the unions. They're going to suck up a lot of our transportation dollars that should be going to building more roads and filling more potholes. With a Governor Cuccinelli, you get that money filling potholes and building roads.
On the Silver Line, you've been historically opposed to it, and the Washington Post just ran an op-ed or editorial Monday characterizing you as sort of a lone ranger in the Northern Virginia delegation when you were a senator and among the congressmen. Are you worried about your level of support in Northern Virginia being affected? And what's your current position on the Silver Line as a project currently stands?
Well, right now, in my capacity as Attorney General, we're defending a case up to the Virginia Supreme Court that we need to win to keep their financial plan viable for the Silver Line. So you're right, as a matter of policy, I didn't think that's where we should put our transportation dollars, but as Attorney General, I'm doing the work to defend the choice made by the Loudoun Board of Supervisors, the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors, and others, and having that kind of local say in transportation is something that I want to see expanded across Virginia. So there are some elements out of there that I'm going to draw on going forward. I would note this is where I draw my example of a $300 million savings by not going Terry McAuliffe's Union route to build phase 2 of the Silver Line. That's enormous. We can leave that money in the economy to grow jobs, or we can expand our transportation network or care for it better with that money. And that's something that people got to keep in mind as we go forward.
Also, as Attorney General, we got a release from you. You petitioned the Supreme Court to overturn the Fourth Circuit's panel's anti-sodomy laws on the grounds that they're a tool to prosecute child predators. Now, I read your press release, and I attempted to read the brief, but I'm not a lawyer. It would seem to a layman, wouldn't it make why isn't if Virginia is inclined to make sex with a child a felony, why wouldn't they simply do that instead of, because this law appears to be on precarious footing, you know?
Well, the way the Fourth Circuit threw it out was inappropriate procedurally. You know, it's kind of a nuts and bolts for lawyers situation. The judge who agreed with us is an appointee of President Obama. So, you know, we're not out of the middle of the legal mainstream here. The 2-1 ruling of the Fourth Circuit was way outside of the mainstream. And the law they went after was used by Virginia prosecutors over the last 10 years to prosecute 90 child predators or those preying on incapacitated adults or unwilling adults. I mean, that's what this is about ultimately. And we're all about protecting children. As much as jobs is job one for me as governor, if I have to step aside to go keep Virginia's children safe, I'm always going to do that. I have great relationships with law enforcement. My opponent has been playing politics with this case, where what we really need to be focusing on is protecting children. This is a case where a 47-year-old man propositioned a 17-year-old girl and was convicted for it. And if we don't have this felony, all we have left is misdemeanor. So we're going to protect that opportunity to make sure this guy stays on the sex offender registry where he belongs, so other families and other parents can know who their kids need to avoid.